What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you more about some Black Ops Cold War. But before I get any further in this video, 97% of you guys watching the video right now are not subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't done so yet, make sure you click that subscribe button to be kept up to date on everything to do with Black Ops Cold War, Warzone Season 6 and more. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the last video I made about skill-based matchmaking did fairly well. Now this isn't a cheap grab for more views. I genuinely wanted to talk about this topic once again because skill-based matchmaking seems to have been decreased in this weekend's Black Ops Cold War beta. If you've been living under a rock, the open crossplay beta for Black Ops Cold War is here, and it's here to stay for at least one more day as a result of the pawn takes pawn Easter egg being completed and us receiving an extra day on the open beta, which will appeal to fans everywhere who are enjoying Black Ops Cold War. And at the moment in time, I'm one of them. I am still somewhat on the fence. I still think that there are things in the game that can be improved, and I'll be making a video summarizing all my thoughts on basically the goods, the bads, and the garbage of Black Ops Cold War after the beta is over and after I've put even more time into the game. But at the current point in time, I'm having a lot more fun in Black Ops Cold War than than I was during weekend 1 of the beta. Now this could be contributing a number of different various factors. It could be the fact that more players are playing the game because it's an open beta, therefore it's not just the pre-order sweats. It could also be that there's a larger pool of players playing the game right now at the moment because you have PC and Xbox players in there as well. It could be that, or it could be genuinely just the fact that Treyarch toned down skill-based matchmaking as a result of the outcry from weekend 1. It definitely does feel that skill-based matchmaking has been toned down here. I definitely am not coming across as many sweaty players during weekend 2 than in weekend 1. It definitely does feel a lot easier to win games as well, in terms of having teammates that genuinely play the objectives and teammates that actually know what they're doing, rather than just coming up against your team is just complete garbage and then the other team is absolutely incredible for whatever reason. Or the bunny hopping, slippery sliding snakes that I saw during weekend 1, they are still there, but there's not as many. So in terms of matchmaking and that sort of stuff, the beta definitely does feel better in that sense. Skill-based matchmaking is definitely still there, mainly as a result of the changing lobbies and the disbanding lobbies that are still here in Cold War. I have seen some people on Twitter and on YouTube and that sort of stuff say that the lobbies actually stick together, game on game experiences, but personally I haven't seen that. And I haven't sort of noticed that at all. You see maybe 1 or 2 players that stay the same, but generally speaking, every single match is a new set of players. So in that sense, skill-based matchmaking is still there because the game is still re-evaluating your skill level after every single game. The algorithm in which that it uses in place to put you in matches is not as intense as it was during weekend 1. That being said as well, games are taking a lot longer to find, and I think that's because of a couple of different various factors. One could be that the fact that crossplay is a factor here, and finding players of this game's skill bracket and on different platforms could be a factor in the slower matchmaking times. I did try turning off crossplay, and that made the matchmaking time a lot longer as well, but I was having more fun not playing with all the PC sweats. So in that sense, I was having a lot more fun again when I turned off crossplay and only played with PlayStation players, so that way I was having fun as well. But in terms of matchmaking, it did take a lot longer there, and as well as that taking long in terms of matchmaking because the game is trying to find you with players of this game skill level as you, while also not trying to put you in matches which are midway through, which again was an issue in weekend 1. The fact that the game would always put you into matches that were like nearly finished and there was no chance of you coming back or anything like that. So weekend 2 is a lot more fun than weekend 1, and the idea of skill-based matchmaking, while still there, the community is not as vocal about it this time during weekend 2 than they were in weekend 1. Weekend 1 there was definitely a big outcry. In weekend 2 there was seemingly some improvements there. Could we potentially be just getting gypped here by Treyarch? Could Treyarch be doing this just to sort of test the waters, and then when the game finally launches we go back to the way it was in weekend 1? I certainly hope not. I certainly hope that Treyarch looks at the way that the matchmaking works here during weekend 1 and sees it as an opportunity moving forward to sort of continue to fine-tune it the way it is, rather than necessarily going backwards and going back to the system that everyone hated and no one enjoyed playing the game and experiencing the game for what it was because of because of skill-based matchmaking, essentially. I think that the way they have it right now, while not perfect, and while the implementation of skill-based matchmaking is definitely still there, and it does affect the matchmaking times, I think that it's not too bad. I'm definitely having a lot more fun. I'm definitely having a better time on the game this weekend, and it's most likely due to skill-based matchmaking having a reduced factor here in the matchmaking. And again, going back to my original point there, I really hope that it's not going to be reversed, like Uno reversed on us on the release of the game. And look, a lot of people are saying right now and sort of being bearers of bad news and saying, hey, look, potentially this could just be a beta thing. Potentially when the game launches, we go back to the Modern Warfare / Weekend 1 Black Ops Cold War skill-based matchmaking. There's going to be more players in the player pool. This could just be one big hoax to get us all to pre-order the game and all that sort of stuff. And while that could very well be true, I genuinely don't think that's going to be the case. I actually genuinely think that Treyarch is listening to the community. And I think that in a certain sense, Activision is listening to the community as well, because at the end of the day, if your stakeholders aren't having fun with the product, they're not going to buy the product. So out of all the things we're talking about here in terms of skill-based matchmaking, I think we need to remember that Activision is a big factor in it as well, because Activision funds the projects. If Treyarch and Infinity Ward don't want to put skill-based matchmaking in it, but Activision goes, hey, you have to put this in there, it's making us a lot of money, if you don't put it in there, we're not going to fund your games, then obviously the studios will look out for their own interests and say to the developers, hey, you need to put this feature in there or else we're going to get our funding lost. If we're looking at it in a very, very simple scenario, that's the scenario we're sort of looking at there. So again, props to Activision, props to Treyarch, props to Raven in terms of listening to the community and toning down skill-based matchmaking. While we would love to live in a world where skill-based matchmaking is not a factor at all, it's probably never going to happen. It's probably never going to go back to the way that it was before, and I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news in terms of that. They just make way too much money because of the current implementation of the system. But if we're going to get it like this, and if we're going to get skill-based matchmaking in a way that doesn't necessarily ruin the experience for not only just casual players but experienced players and half decent Call of Duty players here in Black Ops Cold War, I think while with some fine tunings, I will say it's not a perfect system by any means of the imagination, but with some fine tunings, I do believe that skill-based matchmaking can work here in Black Ops Cold War, as long as they don't go too extreme with it. The moment that goes too extreme with it is the moment that things turn, and that's the moment that the community turns as well, and that vocal minority turns on Treyarch, Activision, Raven Software as well. But right now, as I've been saying throughout this whole video, right now the current implementation is good, and I hope we continue with this moving forward into the final release of the game. And I think that it will do. I genuinely think that it will do. I think that Treyarch will see how much the community is enjoying the game, how much the community is enjoying the changes to skill-based matchmaking, and sort of looking at this game in a different light now, because they can actually experience the game rather than just trying to literally sweat it out every single time they play Black Ops Cold War just to get a half decent game or to even get a win in general on the game. I think that right now, with the skill-based matchmaking the way it is, it's benefiting the community, it's benefiting Treyarch, it's benefiting Raven, it's benefiting Activision, because there's a lot of high praise for Black Ops Cold War at this current point in time, and that's what you want. Honestly, that's what you want leading into the game's release on November the 13th. You don't want to go into the release of Black Ops Cold War, say for example, if skill-based matchmaking was exactly the same way that it was in Weekend 1, and it now being in Weekend 2, I think that you're just going to hear more of the same arguments and more of the same complaining, and you don't want that going into the release of your brand new game with brand new consoles. You definitely don't want that, because you want to maximize the amount of sales you're going to get for this game, because when people buy the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X, they're going to be like, okay, we bought these new consoles, what game are we going to get? Oh, Call of Duty. There's a new Call of Duty game out, it's on the new consoles, let's get the new Call of Duty. That's what you want, and you don't want people going up and looking at reviews and watching people complain about the game, because if people have problems with the game, people will be vocal about those problems, therefore people will see it, therefore no one will buy the game. So that's what you want here for the game, to go into the release and have it be positive press, positive reviews, people being excited to play the game. That's what they want. And with the current implementation of skill-based matchmaking, the way that it is here in Weekend 2 and the way that it's going, I hope we see it continue, and I hope that this continues with fine-tunings, of course. That's all I have for you guys today. Let me know what you think about everything skill-based matchmaking here in weekend 2. Do you think that skill-based matchmaking is the same? Do you think that skill-based matchmaking didn't see any improvements, or did, or was never there, or anything like that? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions in the description and in the comment section down below. Click subscribe if you're new here, because we are very, very close to 1,000 subscribers, and I very, very much appreciate you if you do help me along to get me to that goal. But I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.
Girl, I thought you was the realest thing. Stick together, get a real estate, but you fucked around, started playing games. Different lives, but it felt the same. You the reason why I ride this way. Got a rhyme and got a vent now. So recently in these past days, I've settled down. Took a while, but I'm settled now. Be around, you know I can't allow. Think of you when you're not around. Now I'm thinking about the checks now. You the reason.